On a Friday morning in May 2017, doctors across Britain looked up from their patients and found ransom notes where their screens used to be. Surgeries stopped mid-schedule, ambulances were rerouted, and the same red screen was appearing in Spain, in Germany, in Russia, in India, 150 countries before the day was over. This is the story of WannaCry, the biggest cyber attack in history. The 22-year-old who stopped it from his bedroom, and the part nobody tells you about what happened to him 3 months later. To understand WannaCry, you have to start with a theft. The NSA, America's Signals Intelligence Agency, had spent years collecting software vulnerabilities, not reporting them, stockpiling them as weapons. Their crown jewel was an exploit called EternalBlue, a flaw in how Windows machines talk to each other over a network. Aim it at an unpatched computer, and you're in. No password. No email to click. Nothing. In the summer of 2016, a group calling themselves the Shadow Brokers announced they had broken into the NSA's arsenal, and they started leaking it. By April 2017, EternalBlue was on the open internet. Anyone could download a nation-state cyber weapon for free. Microsoft had rushed out a patch a month before the leak. And this is the detail that should sting. Every machine WannaCry ever infected had 2 months warning. But hospitals run ancient software. Factories can't afford downtime. Nobody clicks update. Millions of machines stayed open. On May 12th, someone welded EternalBlue to a ransomware payload and let it go. WannaCry didn't need victims to do anything. It scanned the internet for vulnerable machines, broke in, encrypted everything, demanded $300 in Bitcoin, and then used each new victim to scan for more. A worm. It doubled and doubled and doubled. Britain's National Health Service lost 19,000 appointments in a day. Renault stopped production lines. FedEx, Telefonica, train systems, universities. Now come to a small bedroom on the south coast of England. Marcus Hutchins, 22, a self-taught malware researcher who blogged as Malware Tech. He was supposed to be on vacation. Instead, he pulled a sample of WannaCry apart and noticed something odd. Before encrypting anything, the malware tried to visit a website. One specific address, 42 characters of keyboard mashed gibberish. An address that didn't exist. If the site didn't respond, WannaCry went ahead and encrypted. Every single time. So he did what malware researchers do with interesting domains. He registered it, $10.69. And across the planet, WannaCry stopped. Every new infection checked the address, found it alive, and shut itself down. Hutchins had tripped a kill switch the authors built and never expected anyone to find. Most likely it was an anti-analysis trick. Malware that suspects it's being studied in a lab shuts up to avoid revealing itself. The authors made their weapon check whether the world was fake. Hutchins made the answer yes. It took hours for anyone to believe it. The attack that was doubling every hour just flatlined. Security researchers traced the collapse to one sinkhole domain and the domain to a kid who'd spent the price of lunch. The press called him the accidental hero who saved the internet. He asked them not to print his name. They printed it anyway. Here is where the story is supposed to end. It doesn't. 3 months later, Hutchins flew to Las Vegas for DEF CON, the world's biggest hacking conference. He never made it onto his flight home. At the airport, the FBI arrested him, not for WannaCry, but for something buried in his past. Years earlier, as a teenager, he had written pieces of a banking malware called Kronos and sold his work on dark web forums. The hero of the summer was suddenly facing decades in prison. The security world split in half arguing about it. In 2019, he pleaded guilty. And then, at sentencing, something rare happened. The judge looked at the whole ledger, the teenage crime on one side, the internet saving on the other, and sentenced him to time served. One mistake, the judge said, should not define a life. Hutchins walked out free and went right back to defending the internet. As for WannaCry itself, The United States charged a North Korean operator for building it. The same man charged for the Bangladesh bank heist. The same crew, 2 stories on this channel. So what does WannaCry actually teach? 3 things. First, the patch existed for 2 months. The biggest cyber attack in history required nothing brilliant, only the world's collective failure to click update. Almost every disaster in this series starts with maintenance nobody did. Second, worms change the math. Most attacks scale with how many people you can fool. A worm scales with how many machines are reachable, no humans required. That's why one infected computer in a flat network is never one infected computer. And third, the kill switch was found because one person read the code instead of the headlines. Defense isn't always walls. Sometimes it's curiosity, pointed at the right 42 characters. 60 seconds of this story went viral as a short, the version where the hero wins and the screen fades before the airport. Now you know the rest of it. If you want more true hacking stories, told all the way to the end, subscribe. The next one is already coming.